the Student of the Game podcast, where we break down the life, strategy, and advice of successful individuals who are students of their own game and masters of their own craft. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to the episode.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Student of the Game podcast. I'm Tim Stone with my co-hosts Nick Galbreath and Ian Cushing. Today we've got a special guest, Mr. Ricky Carruth. Ricky, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Good to, I'm looking forward to the chat.
Yeah, so if you've ever tried to become a real estate agent or looked up tips on YouTube or cold calling on YouTube, you've probably seen Ricky's videos. I know I have. So we're super grateful to have the opportunity to dive into his story. So thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. And like I say, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys throw at me.
Yeah. And like how we like to start off, Ricky, when we had it named as the UTC Real Estate Club, we really like to focus on, kind of your background before you kind of went to college.
Yeah.
What you were studying and how you kind of launched that into real estate and built your mentality and mental models and really your skill set.
Absolutely. I grew up roofing houses, right, with my father.
Okay.
And when I graduated school, I had a football scholarship to Missouri Valley College. And so I just took it, right? It's like free school. I'm going to go. But it was 18-hour drive and I was like 18 years old. So that was a little much, to be honest with you. And that first semester, I came home. Let's see what happened. I came home and then I went to Faulkner State Community College. So I went to two different colleges right then. Okay, first year. Then I went back to Missouri for the summer because I was like, I'm going to go back and try to play football. Okay, I didn't really like it again. So I went to University of Alabama for a semester. And then I went to Shelton State Community College there in Tuscaloosa and got my real estate license. So the reason I did is because I failed a history class. Now, that was kind of a fork in the road, right? I could have continued to push through and try to graduate college and do something there academically, or I was like, I feel like I'm kind of just banging my head against the wall. I'm ready to get out into the real world and do real things, and it's kind of like, that's a tough place to be looking back. It's like, man, could I have really used some knowledge of, real academic business planning and comprehensive, planning stuff out and how markets work, from an academic level and stuff. Yeah, big time, So there's a part of me that's like, man, should I go back to college or something like that? That's probably out of the question at this point. But, some people, they go to college, they graduate, and they don't use their degree at all, right? Other people go to college and become, mega with whatever they studied, and then some people drop out of college like myself and go out there and build massive businesses, so you just never know. It's kind of like real estate. I quit trying to figure out what real estate agents that are coming in are going to be super successful and who isn't, because I've had it wrong so many times. The people that I think would never sell a property come in and just crush it, like 30 properties their first month, and other ones that I feel like, are going to come in and crush it, never sell anything. And it's just like, what's the secret hidden, it factor here, so you just never know. Everybody's different. You got to kind of figure out what works for you. That's the biggest thing in life, is not necessarily looking and seeing, what he has or what they have or how they did it or how he did it, right? And trying to copy it, but more so use it for yourself to figure out who you are and where you want to go and how you can use it to mold into your systems, right? And your routines and stuff like that. But it's a personal development journey is what it is, but no, my thought was go to college because that's what I was supposed to do. Learn what I'm supposed to learn, and then I'll figure something out. That was my thing. I didn't even know what I was going to study. I was just kind of studying business stuff, and failed that history class and said, I'm going to go try something else in life. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the thought process behind it. So got in real estate, and man, if I only knew what kind of ride that was going to be. It took me 8 months to get to my first sale. Then the market exploded, because that was in 2002 when I got in real estate. Then the market exploded and I made so much money so fast. I was so young. And when the market crashed, I lost everything. I was sleeping on friends' couches. Went back to roofing houses, worked on an oil rig, and that was kind of a moment in my life that I was like, I'm really going to figure out what went wrong here. So I read 100 books. I studied the market. I watched people who were still selling real estate, meanwhile I was out of the game. Like, what are they doing? What did I not do? What am I not thinking about? So I got laid off in 2008. It kind of forced me back into real estate.
From the oil rig?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just started crushing it, because I took all that knowledge that I learned from point A to point B and just applied and started executing, and found what worked for me, which was just creating relationships with property owners, at scale, and doing a weekly email. And I still do it every Wednesday since 2007. And just built it up, man. Before I knew it, 2014, I was selling 100 properties a year, number one Remix agent in Alabama. And I've closed 100 deals every year since, So a couple years ago, I wrote 2 books about my journey and started trying to help other agents, became a free coach. And that just blew up. And so now I'm doing my own events, and I'm in a really good place, right? So now I'm trying to help agents see the bigger picture. I've showed them how to build their business. I've been doing that for years. Now I want to help them understand, what's going on in the market, what the future is, okay, for the industry, how they can take advantage of these platforms and collaboration, and really being a much, much better. It's incredible what's happening in the industry and the opportunities that are just sitting right there in front of everyone. And honestly, it looks like cryptocurrency, right? Most people don't understand it, so they keep an arm's length from it, right? They're just like watching it. They're like, what is that? That's kind of what's going on in the real estate industry in terms of the business models that are out there available to real estate agents, and what the actual possibilities are. It's really crazy. So I feel like my mission now is to help agents kind of see the bigger picture, right? And be able to align with that, to build some generational wealth, because like the everyday agent now can actually build generational wealth, within a matter of 10 to 5 to 10 years, right? And when you look at like 15, 20 years, it's insane. And this wasn't available, this wasn't available when I was coming up. So, and most people don't understand it. So I feel like I need to really dig deep, right? And like find myself. I'm running a bunch of different companies. And so I'm in this position I've never been in, where I have to be more empathetic towards people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm managing people. I've never been in that position before. And so I have to grow up, right? I have to develop myself into a leader now, right? I'm not just a real estate agent out there hustling properties and, trying to make myself known on YouTube and stuff. I'm actually have people behind me dependent on me to lead by example, and to enlighten them and to help them see the bigger picture and how to execute on it, so that's where I'm at.
That's really awesome. And kind of tapping off of that, it's like, when you're growing into a more like mature leadership position, what are some of those key things that you want to implement to make that transition?
Well, I mean, time management's one, right? So, I spent a lot of time in the ditches. You know what I mean? I'm grinding out so hard. Spending time with new agents, answering all DMs. Just I'm a yes man. I'll just do anything. I'll talk to anybody. I'll help anybody. And I think part of being a leader is, yeah, I'd love to help all those people, but I need to delegate that to people that I trust, okay, and then open my time up more. See, right now it's like I can't breathe, because it's just back to back to back to back to back to back. And if I ever have a moment, there's like 15 calls I have to return. It's just back to back to back. I never can have a moment where I just take a step back and evaluate and game plan, strategize, and I can't see the forest for the trees. I got to be able to take a step back and be able to see everything happening in the industry, in my organizations, so I can kind of see what's working, what's not working, what this looks like, what that looks like over the next couple years, right? And what do we need to do to take advantage and to be in position? Otherwise, if I keep on the path that I'm on, I'm not going to be able to see those opportunities or be able to round the troops up and tell them exactly what we need to do to take advantage. It's massive, bro. Massive. So I think time management is a big one, and also kind of staying on top of every little thing going on in the industry, you know what I'm saying, where I'm kind of the pulse of the market, where I'm collecting data on what's happening with all these companies, and when situations come up, I already have all this data collected, where now I can make a pretty intelligent decision based on all the data I've collected, up to that point. Otherwise, if I'm just so busy just doing coaching calls and listing appointments, then I have time to stay on top of the market the way I should. And then when it comes time to make those decisions, I can't really make those decisions as intelligently as I would have otherwise. I want to write a third book. I want to do certain things that I don't have time to really step back and do. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to rearrange everything in a manner where now I'm delegating more and actually leveraging the platform that I built. I'm not doing a good job of leveraging right this second, and that's okay, because it's worked up to now. And again, none of this has to do anything with money, right? I could retire right now. I could fall asleep, and just the money continues to grow like big time with everything that's happening. But that doesn't excite me anymore. You know what I mean? It's more so managing my organizations and making sure that the people within those organizations are set generationally, right? Like generational wealth type scenarios, as well as just the general public, right? Real estate agents in general, with what's going on in the industry. So I don't know, man. That's a loaded question, but
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
I think the bottom line is just trying to stretch myself, because like the thing is I've been pretty complacent up to this point. Like I could just live off the platform and live off the following and live off the past clients and all the connections I've made. I mean, I feel like I've just kind of been floating and not really growing as a person over the past year, let's say, right? Because everything's just been kind of coming so fast and falling in my lap. I haven't really had to work to find anything. I've had to work to service everything, but not to actually build. You know what I mean? Like massively build, even though the little things that I'm doing is building. So like I've got to stretch myself to actually go to the next level of personal development. You know what I mean? Whatever that might be. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of factors.
Yeah, definitely looking deep and thinking bigger picture.
What does it look like to build generational wealth as a real estate agent? And this is not hating on anything, but I just saw someone had posted on Instagram a few minutes before this. If you sell houses, you can make a living. If you buy houses, you can make an empire, whatever. And it was just talking about investing in real estate, creating that passive income, and which is where you build wealth. So I want you to, if you would, dive into building generational wealth as an agent, because it's totally possible, but it's not the typical model that you would see from what we would think of right off the bat.
Well, I mean, that's just one part of it, buying real estate. You know what I mean? What you guys have to understand is that there's an entirely new game out there, right? Entirely new game to be played. Okay. And as a real estate agent, as just like a regular old agent nowadays, okay, you can actually make money using these platforms the same way Walmart makes money, Apple makes money, Target makes money, Quicken Loans makes money. All these companies, they actually operate on really, 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 really small margins. Okay. Every transaction, they're making just a few pennies, whatever. Okay. And, like people on the outside, if you just look at one store of Walmart, you think, how can they survive? They survive because they have so many stores and they buy so much product and they're dealing with volume. Okay. And so instead of a mom and pop grocery store who have to mark their groceries up so that they can survive, Okay, Walmart has, thousands of stores, and they're able to, make a little bit on millions of transactions. Okay. And the same thing with Quicken Loans. They have the cheapest rates out there. How are they able to operate like that? It's because they're closing billions of dollars in loans. Okay. A local lender can't compete with the Quicken Loans. Okay. Because the local lender isn't dealing with volume. Okay. They're not playing the volume game. Okay. So when you think about making a little bitty cut off thousands and thousands of transactions, okay, instead, without putting too much work into it, okay, that's the key, making a little bit on thousands of transactions with a little bit of work, okay, versus working really hard to sell 50 deals to make all the money, okay? It's like, what would you rather have? Would you rather have thousands of transactions you're making a little bitty cut on, or making all the money of 50 deals you worked really hard for? Right. And so this is how you create real wealth, is understanding these business models, whereas you can create scenarios where you're not working, but you're getting paid a little bitty cut on thousands and thousands of transactions. The regular everyday real estate agent, and now in today's world, can capitalize on that business model. Okay. And like, for example, right now, okay, the brokers that I'm with, okay, it's a platform that allows you to expand nationally immediately for no money. Okay. You build your own brokerage using their platform. These agents now have an incentive to go bring on more agents because they can do the same thing. Okay. Now I get paid on all these agents, little bitty piece. Okay. So I'm selling 100 properties a year as a single agent, just crushing it, right? Working really, really hard. All right. But the group that I have, which is 900 agents right now, we're closing 400 deals a month. So that's 100 deals a week I'm getting paid on. So I'm getting paid 100 deals a week, making a little bitty cut on 100 deals a week, doing nothing except for helping the team. And all. I mean, I could go to sleep right now if I wanted to, but I want to continue to grow and continue to build synergy and unite everyone and continue to blow up. Right. But 100 deals a week with no liability, no expenses versus, well, I'm 100 deals a week versus 100 deals a year I'm working really hard for, right? That's the scenario I'm in right now. And I can't scale the 100 deals anymore. I've tapped out of my market, right? I could probably go to 150, maybe 200. That's going to be it. But over here, with these platforms that are in place, this model, this new business model, I can scale that to 2,000 deals a week, right? I could scale it to 2,000 deals a week and be getting paid a little bitty cut of 2,000, 3,000 deals a week, right? And so when you talk about generational wealth for real estate agents, you got to really open up your mind to what's actually available nowadays in the market, right? It's more than just selling real estate, right? You have the power with these platforms to be at the top. You can be Gary Keller, you can be Dave Liniger, you can be Adam Contos, you can be these heads of these companies, right? Traditionally, real estate agents come in, they pay fees to the brokerage, right? And it makes the corporation rich, and the agent gets nothing. That's the traditional model. Okay, you're just paying them for a place to hang your license, basically. Okay, you get nothing, right? Support and training. Okay. All brokerages do that. So let's just null and void that. What else? Nothing. Okay. With these platforms that are coming up in the game, right? People don't understand them. So they're like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Right. But people are slowly understanding, and it's slowly becoming mainstream, that they realize that instead of just paying your brokerage for nothing, you could be paying yourself, because these cloud-based brokerages are giving you equity in their company, right? So once you hit certain sales milestones, they're making you a partner. So what they said is the real estate agents have been out here making these corporations rich for decades, okay, with getting nothing in return. Yeah. They're the ones actually building the business. Why can't we create a business model where they're actually part owner of the company, right? They're part owner of the company with us. They're the ones building it. They're the ones selling the property. They're the ones bringing in the revenue, right? Why can't they be a part owner? So that's what they did. Once you hit a certain sell milestone, which is about 30 deals every year, they give you equity, a big chunk of equity every year at whatever the price is that day. and that continues to grow. So now you're an equity partner at your brokerage, right? And you have the ability to expand immediately for no money and make, I mean, there's guys making 7-figure a month. So like, and then you take that money and do what with it? Buy real estate, buy stocks, buy assets, buy cash flowing properties, whatever you want to do. And when you get into that game, then you get into the depreciation game where, you're writing off your, the depreciation of the properties. You get into having multiple partners, and there's all kinds of different games you can play when it comes to real estate development. You can buy and hold, you can buy fix and flip, you can take the equity out and then do it again, and there's all kinds of different strategies. People swear by this, swear by that. I like to do it all. I like to buy, fix, and flip. I like to buy little bitty rentals. I like to buy big buildings. I like to buy commercial. I like to do all of it, right? So I don't know, man. I think you got to start somewhere. And
Yeah.
I think that when you take that first step, you have to realize that this is the first step in a lifelong journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like here's point A, here's point B. Like here's point A and point B is we're making $1 million, or we have $1 million net worth, or 2 million, or whatever it is. That's going to be no, by the time you put the work in to actually get to that point, whatever money you make there is going to be null and void. You're not going to care at all about the money part of it because you worked so hard. It's almost like you didn't even get paid enough. You worked so hard to do it. It's like that $1 million ain't nothing compared to what I had to do to get it. You know what I mean? And so then it becomes a game of how do I keep it, and build on it. You know what I mean? So then that's why I have so many different businesses and streams of income coming in, because I want that income's got to be at a very high level, right? Where then you've got money to throw into investments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the investments to sit there and, be how I'm living. Mm-hmm. I want to take all the money from the businesses, all the money from anything that comes from investments, take that cash and put it into more assets and more businesses. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Would you mind name dropping a couple of those platforms you're talking about so some of our listeners and even myself can look into them?
The innovator of the whole thing is Exp Realty.
Exp, okay.
Right? Yeah. That's the innovator of this entire business model. Then there've been a bunch of copycats, not a bunch, just a couple that have come out. There's one called Real. There's one called Fathom. So these cloud-based brokerages, they built infrastructure to where, traditionally, if you want to be a broker or a franchisee of one of these big name, brokerages, you pay a franchise fee, or you start your own office. You get an office space. At that point, you're just bringing on agents locally and hoping that you break even, right, on the building, hoping they pay you enough money to break even on the building. And then at that point, you're liable for them. You got to worry about compliance. You have expenses. You have all these problems, right, dealing with all these agents and stuff like that. So with like an EXP, you go out there. You don't have to have an office. You can have an office. You don't have to have an office, whatever. Every single agent that comes on board is the same thing as a franchisee. Like literally every agent has their own global franchise. Wow. Where you can go out and bring agents on from anywhere, any state. They go under the prospective state EXP broker, right? But they're sponsored by you into the company, and they're part of your group, right? And then anybody they bring in, they build their team. You help them build their team. That's part of your organization as well. You're getting paid on all those agents. I've got 35 agents in South Africa, 4 in Australia, 25 in Canada, and most of them are in the U.S. You can bring entire brokerages over. You talk to the broker and say, hey, why, right now you're liable for all your agents and you have a lot of expenses and you can only bring on agents locally, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, wouldn't you rather team up with me and let's build your brokers together and bring on agents from everywhere and not have any liability or expenses? Right? That's the power of this thing. And we can take your 100 agents you have right now, and that's going to turn into 15,000 over the next 6 years. Right? It's insane. And people just are like, it's just a sales pitch, or like, I don't want to get recruited, or, stuff like that. But it's like, if I were to start my own brokerage, a year and a half ago, right? They've given me 50,000 in equity, which is worth 150. All right. There's no way my brokerage would be worth 150,000 right now. No way. I brought on 150 agents, turned into 900, doing 50K a month. There's no way I would be making 50K a month with no expenses, no liability, no broker responsibilities with $150,000 worth of equity. No way, no how. Right. And that 100 is going to go to 100. That 50 is going to go to 100 a month, 200 a month, 300 a month, $1 million a month, $2 million a month. It's already happening, with some of these other guys that have been there longer. So it's real. You know what I mean? It's real. They're a $7 billion company. Like a Remax is worth 700 million. So they're worth 10 times more than Remax. They're doing 10 times more profit as a company. Redfin loses money. Compass loses 300 million a year. Zillow, I think they're back in the negative. Definitely after this last little hoorah they're just going through. Right. But you look at all this stuff, man, and you realize what's happening in the industry and the opportunity that's sitting right there in front of agents who are at these brokerages who are just paying fees, getting nothing in return. They could be actually gaining equity in a growing company that's adding 1,000 agents a week. Dude, they got 100 million in the bank, right? They have no debt. They own Success Magazine, Virabella, The Virtual World. They own Showcase IDX. They're waiting to buy more companies. They just did a deal with a mortgage deal. They're the freaking dude. They're the Amazon in terms of like acquiring companies and building up a valuation. They're the Amazon and Facebook of real estate. You know what I mean?
And speaking of mortgages, I remember you mentioned something about a mortgage venture. Would you mind kind of discussing that with us if it's available to us? I'm not sure if you're willing to speak. But.
Basically, we've worked a deal out with one of the largest mortgage companies in the country to JV on building our own platform, right? Mm-hmm. Building our own platform where people can collaborate with each other all over the place and build their own little mortgage teams, if you will, right? And so it's really probably all I can really say about it right this second, but it's going to be really massive. It's going to be really incredible for real estate agents, and looking to really get in there and disrupt some things, you know what I mean? And really shake it up a little bit.
Ricky, this is absolutely awesome. And when you said cloud-based platform, I was mind blown right there, because how future thinking that brokerage strategy is, EXP, and I've heard of it. But I would love your advice on my situation right now, just because we're talking about the future of brokerages in EXP and what they're doing. Now you can kind of gain equity and not pay commissions to the broker. I'm at Keller Williams right now in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I'm about to move up to Boston. And I was going to join a Keller Williams brokerage in Plymouth, I believe. And I was going to build out a commercial division, but work with a different brokerage while doing that. And she runs her Keller Williams brokerage, but now she's starting to start brokerages internationally, like in Italy, Punta Cana, and Dominican Republic. What would your advice be to possibly change that business model? I mean, I'm trying to link that connection to what you're talking about with EXP and the capabilities to bring on agents from other international countries to be under your brokerage.
Yeah. No, it just depends on what your goals are. Yeah. You know what I mean? And kind of what can you see the actual where the industry is and where it's heading, because these guys that have 15,000 agents in their organization, they've only recruited around 100 agents. All of them have only recruited about 100 agents, and they have 15,000. They've been in the company for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. So it kind of depends on what you're trying to do with it, right? EXP has a commercial division that they opened last year, which is like really, really incredible. It's a huge opportunity on the commercial end, because it's kind of an untapped market, you know what I'm saying, for EXP, right? For commercial guys to go out there and to build their team of commercial brokers, right, throughout the country, and even they're open in all 50 states as far as EXP Commercial, but as far as, you can sell commercial in other countries and stuff like that, but no, you would just have to understand the collaboration value proposition, right? Of being able to, like, once you decide, okay, I'm going to join EXP, now it's a matter of who you're going to join with and who you're going to align with, and who you feel like is going to give you the most value to help you really grow. And so you are who you hang around with. And that's why I really love, and I think a lot of people are missing the point with EXP, is the fact that you get to collaborate with whoever you want to in the world, really, right? But more so in the country, because we're domestic, and we know who we are right here. But you get to literally like be in business with directly, rub elbows with directly, brainstorm and collaborate with directly with whoever you want to, right? Anybody in the organization would be glad to have you, right? Because we're trying to bring agents on and collaborate with as many agents as we can. So, once you pick who you want to align yourself with, somebody that can really take you to the next level. That's the thing, is that locally, a lot of times locally, there's nobody that's on as high a level as you really need to stretch yourself personally to go to these heights. The people that I've met since I've joined EXP that are on my downline and upline, whoa, like they've stretched me so far, so much further just as a person, and still stretching me, right? That's where a lot of this is coming from in terms of me trying to identify who I am and what I really want out of life, and what I define as success is from these guys seeing me speak and watching what I'm doing online and the success I've had, and saying, hey, bro, listen, that's great and all, okay, but we want more, right? There's something deeper in there, and we know you're capable of so much more. That's these guys at EXP. The mortgage thing, right? Dude, we're going to close billions of dollars in loans, like billions and billions and billions. Like we've already talked to brokers who are in, that are doing the volume. They're in. This is such an easy sell. This came from the collaboration of people that I met through joining EXP that I would never even. I don't have the opportunity where I was to own equity in a company and to build a downline and to make, millions of dollars on an organization, right? But that don't mean anything. What means something to me is the collaboration to put our heads together with some of the greatest minds in the industry and say, what can we do to make the industry and the world a better place, right? How can we help agents more than we're already helping them, right? How can we use this platform and other platforms to stretch even further, So I don't know. That would be a different conversation. We would have to sit down and look at everything you're trying to do, everything you're doing now, and see what direction that, the platform can help you, you know what I mean? So I don't know exactly everything you're trying to do, but I would say, don't hold it at an arm's length. If Joe Blow down the road try to recruit you and, you're like, oh, I don't want that dude's sleazy. So that must be a horrible company. I'm not even going to give it a second look, and turn your nose up at it and not even open up to, whoa, this is a $7 billion company growing by 1,000 agents a week. They did a dividend. They paid a dividend to all shareholders the last 2 quarters. They got $100 million sitting in the bank. The list goes on and on and on for how collaborative the workplace, the virtual world. See, Meta, right? Meta.
Oh my
okay.
gosh.
Okay. Meta. Okay. Like they changed their name to Meta, right? Because they want to go develop the metaverse. Okay. Yep. We already had our own metaverse. We've been operating as a company in our own metaverse. We own the company. It's called Virabella. We own the company, right? EXP owns the company. And so I own the company because I own EXP because they made me a partner. Like they own that platform where we go in, and I can go into Virabella. I can log into the EXP world, and I can sit down with a broker in any state. I can sit down with an EXP broker in any state within a matter of minutes and talk to them about whatever my problems are. I can collaborate. It's a whole different ball game, man. Like the whole setup is like it takes people. It would take you if you got serious about opening up to what it is. You know, it would take you 6 months to actually figure out all the wow factors happening behind the scenes, like how they make the transaction so much easier, like to get paid. I used to have to go to a closing, pick up the closing documents and check, upload the documents to the cloud, give the check to Remax, them cut me a check and me drive it to the bank. Okay. Now I just show up to the closing, smile and wave. EXP already talked to the title company, has everything straight. Title company overnights everything to EXP. EXP just direct deposits my account. I don't touch anything. Money just magically appears in my account. That's just one little thing, right? They're doing as much as they can do to make our lives easier and to allow us to expand. You know what I mean? There's no other company like it.
I love that they're just challenging the industry and the way that it works and changing everything around. But one thing I want to hear from you, since we have you, is what does it take to do 100 transactions a year consistently for several years in a row?
Work your ass off.
Yeah. As some people, they're gonna work their ass off and they're not gonna do 100 deals. So what's different between?
I think that they don't have systems in place, right? They don't understand quantity. Okay. They're giving too much quality to too few agents, and it's never about quantity. If you want a really large business, at some point it has to be about volume, right? You can't just take really good care of a few clients and just chalk your whole business up to, I'm just really taking care of these clients. You know, I didn't have time to make calls. I didn't have time to try to grow my business or do any kind of, one-on-one marketing or anything like that. I just, I had to show property all day. No, you didn't. You showed property till 1, and then you just kind of messed around with whatever for the rest of the day. You could have been pounding away. See, at some point, it's got to be about quantity. You need thousands and thousands of people. Everything between an agent and 100 deals a year, whatever their goals are just thousands of one-on-one conversations with people in their market. It's really that simple. The ABCs and real estate one-on-one is really simple stuff. It's just one-on-one conversations with people in your market to see what you can do to help them, right? And if not now, you'd love to help them later. Collect their data, have a personal branding system in place to make sure they never forget who you are, right? And if you gave that great first impression and they really liked who you are and liked how you carried yourself, they're going to call you when the time comes. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But your job is to put yourself in as many of those possible situations as you can, right? And you're going to get some of them and some of them you're not. Everybody has a different mental capacity, right? Everybody has a different mental capacity of the amount of deals that they can handle. Okay. Like you can handle, let's just say, for example, 15 pending deals and, 22 active listings at one time. Okay. The next person may only be able to handle 4 pending deals and 8 listings at one time. And anything above that just freaks them out, and they just can't handle it. It's too much stuff. So everybody has a different mental capacity, right? They have a different size cup. And what you have to do is figure out how big your cup is. How much can you handle at one time? Okay. Because the market 100% of the time always produces enough business for you to keep your cup full. Okay. That's the cool thing about real estate, right? It's the jackpot of all careers because it produces an unlimited amount of business no matter what the market's doing. When the market shifts, it shifts in a manner that prices change to keep transactions going. We get paid on commissions. It doesn't matter what the price is. Okay. We get paid on commissions when transactions close. So the market organically and naturally moves so that transactions continue to happen. If the market really crashes hard, prices go way down, right? So that it goes down to a price that people are willing to buy. It's supply and demand. So that's what's so cool about being a real estate agent, is that it just never ends, no matter what the market does. And so many agents, they tie their business to the market when really it's two completely separate entities. The market's over here and should be paid attention to. Okay. But it should be kept as far away from the success of your business as possible. Like that, the market has nothing to do with your success as a real estate agent, right? Because closings happen every single day, no matter what the market does, and will happen forever, right? Regardless of what happens in the market. I mean, look at .com crash, 9/11, 2008, the pandemic, all those scary moments had massive amounts of closings happening every single day through the whole thing, right? And even if even if transactions go down 50, 60%, that 40 or 50% that's left is still way more than you could ever handle, right? So no matter what the market does, it always will produce enough deals for you to keep your cup full, right? So what you have to do is just kind of start to realize all this, because a lot of people don't realize, they think the market is tied to a real estate agent's success. If the market's doing bad, the real estate agent's doing bad. It's just so far from the truth. But because so many people believe that, real estate agents believe it, right? And so real estate agents, when the market's bad, then they just kind of go down with the market. They quit trying to do stuff. They quit trying to build a business. They don't realize that it's actually a huge opportunity. When the market crashes, a lot of agents go away, and it really opens up market share for the agents who are still there, right? And it's just a massive, massive opportunity to gobble up market share for when the market rebounds. It's like you really blow up. That's what happened to me in 2008 when I got back in. That was in the middle of the crash. And then, I really kind of hit it hard between 2008. By 2012, it was like things were coming back. And by 2014, I was the number one RE/MAX agent in Alabama, closing 100 deals a year. It was literally because of the work I did during the crash of 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Understanding these philosophies from when I lost everything and had to kind of start over. But yeah, it's you need to make calls, right? Because every day you need to wake up and you need to think, how can I chip away at these thousands of one-on-one conversations that need to be had?
And we'd love to dive into that a little bit, Ricky, and kind of, if you would kind of give not a step-by-step process, but kind of a flow of your mornings in the personal development, I won't say strategies, but what you're working on right now to grow yourself and grow your personal development, and kind of how that ties into your business as well.
You mean like a morning routine to try to,
morning routine.
Yeah. Well,
liking that a while.
Yeah. I mean, like, for me, it's real simple. I get up at 5 now, and I'm always moving my routine around and stuff. But I go to the gym for a couple hours. And that's really my morning routine, because I come back and then it's like time to, my daughter wakes up, and then it's time to kind of spend a little time with her before I actually get to work. And then I sit down and I organize my business. I say organize, I mean, like here is my notes today. You know what I mean? Like, it's not real organized, but like I sit down and try to focus on what's important and projects I'm working on and prospects that I need to follow up with and what my schedule is going to be for the day. And then everything's right there on a piece of paper where I'm able to just execute. You know what I mean? I don't have to think. I'm just executing, So I don't, I used to do a lot of podcast listening tos and reading and stuff like that. But honestly, I go through phases with that, but I'm going through a phase right now where I'm really trying to clear my mind. I'm really trying to do a reset where I can actually, I'm trying to think about everything going on instead of just jamming stuff in my mind, and just listening to people on podcasts and music and stuff like that. I'm trying to really think things through. So I think everybody has to go through those cycles, like your personal development cycle, where you're actually like absorbing a lot of podcasts and different things. And then, you need to take some time where you're not really listening to anything to kind of think through all that stuff and see what you can do to execute upon it. A lot of people listen to podcasts and go to seminars and read books and all this and never do anything, right? Unless you actually take what you're learning and sit down and really, think about it and dissect it for a second and figure out, okay, that was great. Now, how can I use that, in my life? How can I use that in my business? And what can I do to execute on that great idea that I thought was really, really incredible? You know what I mean? A lot of people don't take that time to sit down and think about how they're going to execute on what they learn, because they're just in a constant state of learning. Like there's guys that like read book after book after book, and they call me and they're like, well, I can't get any business. And what do I do here? And what do I do there? And they'll send me pictures of books they're reading. And I'm like, quit reading books. Just don't read books for like 2 months and just, everything you need to do to execute. Look at all the stuff you read. Like, if you don't know what you need to do now, I don't know what to tell you. You're like a genius,
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like they hide behind the personal development curtain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So be careful with hiding behind that personal development curtain and like take the curtain back and take it all the way down to the bare bottom and say, okay, now how do I execute on this? Because that's all that's going to matter is if you execute.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I definitely go through those phases as well. And I also want to see, this kind of touches on self-development, but really just, I guess I wanted to ask you, how do you manage your like work-life balance? Because when you're dealing with the amount of like volume and content and deals that you're doing, how do you balance that?
The first part of that, bro, is that you have to understand that most people, the reason why they don't succeed at the level they want to is because they worry too much about everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're worrying about if this deal is going to go through or if this client's going to be happy or whatever. I don't know, repair, inspection, addendums, or if somebody's going to be mad at them or if people are going to like them or if their post is, people will just worry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the first part of like mastering the work-life balance part is knowing what to worry about, what not to worry about, right? And knowing when to worry and when you can shut it down. I knock off at 5 o'clock every day and on the weekends, right? So tomorrow I'll work all morning. I got some appointments, but most weekends I'm off unless I have some kind of appointment. And then at 5 o'clock, I try to shut completely down all the way. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it'll be there tomorrow. You know what I mean? Sitting around worrying about it isn't really gonna do any good. So if you're with your family, right, after hours, but you're constantly thinking about work and what about this deal and stuff like that, then you're not really present.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not, your family's gonna resent you little by little. You're gonna resent yourself, and that's just digging yourself into this really deep, dark hole that's not gonna end well. I mean, why are we doing this? We're doing this to live a great life. We're doing this to be able to spend quality time with the family. That's why we got into real estate, was to enjoy life. And here we are worried and all these negative things that we're dealing with and thinking about. You got to get really good at compartmentalizing those negative emotions and worries and putting them in a box and throwing them away. Unless needed. So like that's part of the mastery, of this business and what drives a lot of people out of the business, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? But that's the first part of it is getting past that worry stage where you're just worried about every little thing and realizing, listen, that deal is done. Like the future is going to play out the way it's going to play out,
Mm-hmm.
Whether you worry about it or not. And I think that's the biggest part of work-life balance, because it's not like you're not like there with your family. It's that mentally you're worried about all the stuff from work. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's tough, man. It's one of those mind over matter things, one of those woo-saw, like, meditation / yoga situations where you got to really, you got to self-reflect and really, say, okay, what's important in my life? What makes me happy? These deals are gonna work themselves out. So that's the biggest thing for me, man, is and I battle with it too. Everybody does. It's just what level do you battle with it at?
Yeah, and I just really wanted to ask you that because especially with a lot of people that are in this business, they're just so passionate about it, and you work so much, and you can really lose sight of the things like what you're saying that are the most important to you. And I really liked what you said about that. I was like kind of setting those boundaries and clocking off at 5. And
Exactly, man. It's not like I don't answer a text on a negotiation, and stuff like that. But, people like checking their phone, like just to check emails just because. And, stuff like that. Like, you've got to set some boundaries with yourself so that you can like relax for a second. And here's the flip side. When you do work till 9 o'clock, or you are worried till you go to sleep, and you go to sleep worried about different things, you wake up and your brain is fried. And now you're not on your A game, right? And it slowly eats at you. It slowly eats at you. When you're able to actually turn off and recharge properly every day, you wake up every day ready to roll. You're ready to go. You're on fire. I think of it as like getting into vacation mode, right? Like at 5 o'clock, you should get into that same mode that you're in when you're on vacation down in the Bahamas or something, where you're like not worried. You're like, oh, I'm really going to just not worry for a second. That's the way you need to get, because when you go on a vacation and you come back on a 10-day vacation, how fired up you are when you get back, right? You want to try to emulate that every day, right? I call it vacation mode. If you can get into vacation mode in the evening time, okay, to where when you wake up the next day, you can't emulate that same feeling as a 10-day vacation, but if you can somewhat emulate it, right, to the point where you're excited and you're fired up and your energy is high, but if you're sitting around worried all night, or work, a lot of people work till like 9 or 10 in this business. And I'm like, that is absolutely the wrong, because here's the thing too. If you gave yourself till 5 o'clock and said, I'm going to stop at 5, you're going to figure, your body, your mind will figure out a way to get everything that used to take you to 10 o'clock to do. You will figure out a way to get it done by 5, right? That's the thing. There's a law about this. Henry Ford did it. He gave his workers in his factory 60 hours to complete certain tasks. Okay, did that for several weeks. Then he came back and he said, I'm going to give you 40 hours to do the same thing. They figured out how to do the same production in 40 hours, right? We naturally will figure out a way to compress what we're doing to get the same output in the little bit of time. If we're telling ourselves, you're going to be done at 5 o'clock, so you better get done whatever you're going to get done, because after that, it's done, right? But if you give yourself till 10 o'clock to do it, then you're like, oh, I got till 10 o'clock. I'm just going to kind of, I'm going to go, I'm going to pace myself, instead of getting it all done, you got till 10, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's an important thing to note as well.
Yeah, that's some great life lessons right there for a lot of people that can probably relate to that in this business.
One thing from my experience, and I'm sure it's a little different because I do a lot of property management, is that other people want to make their problems your problem, no matter what time of day it is. And I'm sure, like, just with the volume of people you deal with, that's something that you run into as well. Like, how do you deal with that kind of stress when you're on vacation mode? Like it's 7 p.m. I'm at home and people want to make their problems my problem. What's that look like?
Well, chances are I'm not going to see whatever the message is until the morning time, number one, right? Yeah. I'm not even.
That's what I try to do, and then they yell at me the next day.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're going to yell at me the next day, that gives me permission to yell at them the next day. Like, you're going to yell at me, and like I'm at home with my daughter or whatever. It's 7 o'clock at night, bro. You know what I'm saying? Now, what's the problem? Oh, that's what you're yelling at me about, and you messaged me at 7 o'clock last night for something that can be handled right now. Boom! I just took care of it. Now what? What do you got now? You got anything else you want to yell at me about? Go back to your room. Make your bed. So, yeah, like when people get upset with you, bro, then don't let that phase you. You know what I'm saying? It's that's on them. That's something that's a problem they have going on. And when they realize that you're not going to respond at 7 o'clock, they'll quit messaging you at 7 o'clock. That's the next thing. Like if you're going to respond at 7, then they're going to think, oh well, I can keep messing with him at 7. But when you don't respond, and then you call the next morning and say, hey, I got your message last night. Let me take care of that for you. Boom. Right? They're going to kind of know that, oh, I can message him at 7. He'll just take care of it the next day, or I'll just wait till the next day to message him because I know he's not going to look at it or do anything till the next day. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, I had a tenant that called me one morning, and she's like, do you ever answer your phone? And I was like, when did you call me? She's like, I called you 3 times last night at 8 o'clock. I'm like, no, I was out to dinner with my fiance. And it was like, I don't know. I always tell people that I get calls about My air filter's on the ceiling and I can't reach it. I don't know what size it is. I need you to come out and tell me.
Well, and listen, with tenants, right? With tenants,
Mhm.
number one, it's a good thing for them not to have your personal phone number, right?
I got 2 phones.
I got you. I got you. And but I mean, it's still a phone that's on you, so that's a personal number, right?
Mhm.
But number two, it's like, that should almost be in the lease agreement. You know what I mean? Like if you have a problem, that you can call me during, you can make calls during business hours unless it's an emergency, right?
Mhm.
But hey, that gets into a whole new ball game though too, right? When you're talking about managing your own properties versus having a property manager. And it doesn't make sense to have a property manager if you have one property or 2 properties or 3 properties, right? It really won't make sense to have a property manager in place until you have massive amount of properties because you're paying them so much. But that's a whole nother conversation, to get into
Mhm.
all that stuff. A lot
Yeah.
of times if you're the landlord and you're the one answering the calls for the maintenance, and I mean, honestly, if there's like this massive leak in the ceiling, that's probably something you need to I mean, it's your property, you don't want it to go to hell.
Mhm.
So if the hot water heater springs a leak, or something like that, then that's something you probably have to get on top of right then, even if it is 8 o'clock at night. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's a whole different category of problems there.
Yeah. If I get a voicemail, I'll check it. But if you call me, if a number that's not saved in my phone calls me and doesn't leave a voicemail or anything, I'm never going to call them back. Especially on that phone.
Well,
On that phone.
well, I'm the same way, and the reason being is that I don't have time to
Mhm.
call a number back. Like I have too many people that actually call and leave me a message on top of the people that I need to call anyway. It it
Mhm.
it, it turns into a time thing for me. There's no way I have time to call back a number that didn't leave a message.
Yep.
You know?
Well, Ricky, you have dropped so many golden nuggets in this podcast, and I can't wait for our listeners to hear your content because it's absolutely amazing. And just kind of wrapping everything up, and kind of drifting into the advice section right here, where you've been giving advice throughout this whole podcast, but just asking you a few questions. What's the greatest lesson that you've learned in the last 12 months?
Greatest lesson in the last 12 months.
Mhm.
Greatest lesson in the last 12 months.
We should put these questions in the email moving forward. I just thought of that.
No, that's okay, because then you get real reactions though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If people don't know what the questions are going to be, then you actually get real reactions. But I don't know, man. That is a tough one. Say it again. I want to hear the words again.
What's the greatest lesson that you have learned in the last 12 months?
The greatest. I don't know, man, to be honest with you. That's a really good question. I'm actually going to think about that one for a while.
Awesome.
But if I had to say something right now,
Yeah.
I think it would be something along the lines of the fact that if you want to do really, really, really incredible things, like I'll tell you what, I guess here's one. For so long, I've been kind of a one-man army, right? Single agent, free coach, putting out all the content, doing all this and that. And I think one thing that I've learned here over the past 12 months is that if you really want to do incredible things in this world, you can't do it alone. You have to align with great people. You have to have great people around you. You have to be around people with higher energy that are doing bigger things so that you can rise up to their level, but more so partners. Like we started an ISA company. We cold call for agents and set listing appointments, right? Right now we're calling for about 200 agents, and we have about 30 or 40 that join our program every week. We have like 45 employees, and I'm the CEO of that company. And the partners that I have in that company are just so incredible. They're just incredible people, hard workers, honest, want the best, doing it to help people. It's just amazing to be around people that are like me, and to find those people, and so, when you align with people that are like yourself, that want the best and trying to do good things for the world, you lock into them, you know what I mean? And you ride the ride with them. The guys at EXP that I'm doing the mortgage venture with, man, I can't say enough about these guys and what they've done for me personally and the businesses we're going to grow together. It's mind blowing, right? But I couldn't have done it without other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I could tell you a whole list of people that I could give thanks to, that have helped me grow over the last year. As far as just workhorses in my business and mentors, you know what I mean? And there's no way I could be where I am without, other people. And moving forward, I realize that it's going to take an army to do the things that I want to do, and I'm willing to let go of a lot of the things I do now to delegate those things, to open myself up to where I can collaborate with people more and to go bigger. You know what I mean? So I think the punchline is, if you want to do really, really incredible things in this world, yes, maybe you start out on your own. Okay. And maybe you put that work ethic in place and you put those systems in place and you build that business, right? But at the end of the day, if you want to do something really incredible for the world, it's going to take, you can't do it alone.
Yeah. Man, that was powerful. Ricky, we've me, Tim, and Ian have really had this energy kind of growing up when I co-founded the club with two other buddies 2 years ago, and Ian and Tim joined really early on, and we've experienced that growing this club and up to 100 members, and really making an impact with this podcast and having amazing people on you to give advice like that. I mean, it just really touched my heart, and I hope it did with Ian's and Tim's as well. And I know a lot of listeners kind of open their mind up to being more open to that way of thinking, instead of thinking they have to do everything by themselves. When they have big ideas and big visions, that can be conquered with a team better than a lone soldier. So that was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's they like I say, you may build your business and start out on your own, but this is a journey of personal development all the way. Like there's a lot of guys like me that would be like, I'd retire, I'd retire, be done. But here I am basically fixing to start over, you know what I mean? And saying, okay, I want to basically start over in this leadership role. I've conquered all these other things, and I'm going to start in this leadership role and be a dominant force here and start at the bottom of the leadership role in the industry and work my way up another incredible mountain, another steep, crazy, wild mountain, that's going to be a crazy ride to the top. But I'm just not done yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. Something kind of just out of the blue right here. Ricky, what do you love to do with your family? I know you said you have a wife and a daughter. We were talking about her before. She got attacked by
We like to
fire ants,
travel,
but
man. We my daughter just turned 2, and before
Awesome.
she was 2, she's been to Disney, Salt Lake, Connecticut, and Vegas, right? And she wasn't even 2 yet. So we love to travel. We're gonna go to Puerto Rico for a week or so
very exciting.
next month, and we're going to Denver to do skiing and stuff with the group in January. We're going to go to LA for a couple weeks in May. So we like to get out and travel and just see other places, and see Whitley's face when she sees new stuff. It's really cool.
Absolutely.
I love to travel.
It's awesome, Ricky. And what's a book that you gift or recommend the most? I know we had a little discussion there in the podcast that you wouldn't recommend reading a bunch of personal development books when you're not.
No, I would.
But
I actually would recommend reading about, like, I read 100 books.
Yeah.
Like, I would recommend reading tons of books, especially if you're thirsty for that knowledge.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying at some point you got to realize, okay, I got to sit back and I got to understand how to execute on what I've learned, not just read forever and never take any action.
Yeah.
But my favorite book is A Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was my favorite one. That's the only one I read twice.
Thank you for that. I've never heard of that before. The Slight Edge.
It's good.
Awesome.
Well, awesome. Guys, do you have anything else?
Ricky?
Well, I just thought of an analogy that I have to share. You're talking about, sometimes your brain just gets so full, and they say that your brain is a sponge. But at a certain point, once it's soaked up enough, you got to scrub the dishes and get some stuff done, and then you can soak it up again. I just thought of that while you were talking.
There you go.
Oh,
Had
Tim.
to share it with the world.
Uh-oh.
We need the drop in bombs button like Bradley.
Yeah.
Oh, Ricky, thank you so much for your time today. Going into the weekend, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving and great holidays with your family. And thank you again.
No, I enjoyed the chat, guys. Looking forward to continuing the conversation. You guys stay in touch with me and let me know what I can do to help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Tim Stone, Nick Galbreath, and Ian Cushing signing off.